From the very dawn of civilization along the fertile banks of the Indus River, where the ancient cities of Mohenjo-Daro and Harappa once stood as astonishing centers of trade, culture, and urban planning nearly 5,000 years ago, the land that would become Pakistan has been a crucible of human ambition, ingenuity, and resilience, witnessing the rise and fall of empires that left indelible marks on its soil and people. These early urban societies, with their sophisticated drainage systems, granaries, and trade networks stretching as far as Mesopotamia, reflected not only technical mastery but also a social consciousness and communal spirit that would echo through millennia. As time flowed, this land became a theater for successive waves of power and conquest, from the Mauryas and Guptas to the invasions of Alexander the Great, the establishment of the Persian and Greek-influenced realms, and eventually the Islamic conquests that began reshaping the spiritual, cultural, and political identity of the region. With the advent of Islam, scholars, mystics, and rulers introduced a new moral and social order, embedding faith deeply into the fabric of society and inspiring generations through jurisprudence, philosophy, and literature, while simultaneously fostering centers of learning and art that rivaled any in the world. Centuries later, the arrival of the Mughal Empire marked a golden age of architecture, administration, and economic prosperity, yet beneath the splendor, social stratification, political intrigue, and the looming threat of external powers created seeds of change that would eventually disrupt centuries of relative stability. As the Mughal dynasty waned in the 18th century, a vacuum of power emerged, and the British East India Company, armed with superior military strategy and bureaucratic control, tightened its grip over the subcontinent, reshaping economies, exploiting resources, and imposing cultural hegemony that stirred unrest among local populations. In this charged atmosphere, a consciousness of Muslim identity began to crystallize, fueled by fears of marginalization and the loss of cultural autonomy in a Hindu-majority India under colonial governance. Leading this awakening was Muhammad Ali Jinnah, a barrister whose intellect, eloquence, and steadfast vision earned him the title Quaid-e-Azam, the Great Leader, and positioned him as the central architect of Pakistan's creation. Advocating the two-nation theory, Jinnah asserted that Muslims and Hindus constituted separate nations with distinct religious, cultural, and social frameworks, each deserving the right to self-determination, a message that resonated across cities, villages, and provinces of India. As the decades progressed, political mobilization intensified, with the All India Muslim League championing the cause, mass movements rallying millions, and ideological debates shaping the contours of what would become a sovereign state. The Lahore Resolution of 1940 crystallized this vision, formally demanding independent homelands for Muslims and signaling to the world that the aspirations of a people could no longer be contained within the old imperial framework. Yet, the path to freedom was fraught with unimaginable trials. The final years of British India were marked by escalating communal tensions, large-scale civil unrest, and negotiations that alternated between compromise and confrontation, culminating in the momentous, yet tragic, partition of 1947. On August 14, Pakistan emerged as a sovereign nation, a realization of centuries of struggle and the unyielding desire for self-determination. Yet the euphoria of independence was immediately shadowed by the horrors of mass migration, communal violence, and a human crisis unprecedented in modern history. Millions of families were uprooted, forced to abandon homes, possessions, and ancestral lands, while trains and roads became arteries of hope and despair, carrying refugees toward uncertain futures. Villages and cities were engulfed in flames of religious strife, and countless lives were lost in a period that seared collective memory with trauma and resilience. Despite the staggering human and infrastructural cost, the fledgling nation pressed onward, confronting the monumental tasks of integrating displaced populations, establishing governance systems, drafting constitutions, defending its borders particularly in the volatile region of Kashmir, and creating the foundations of industry, education, and administration. In these formative decades, Pakistan faced internal political turbulence, military interventions, and social challenges, each testing the nation's identity, cohesion, and resolve. The early conflicts with India, including the First Kashmir War, alongside internal dissent and the eventual separation of East Pakistan in 1971, underscored the fragility and strength intertwined in Pakistan's journey. Yet, through every trial, the nation's spirit endured, forged by the sacrifices of its people, the vision of its leaders, and the unshakable belief in a homeland where culture, faith, and identity could flourish. The story of Pakistan's birth is thus not merely the chronicle of a nation's emergence on a map, but the epic saga of human courage, political acumen, and societal transformation, setting the stage for a rich cultural life, vibrant communities, and the culinary, recreational, and artistic traditions that would define the heartbeat of a nation, echoing in the streets, kitchens, and fields where ordinary people would continue to write extraordinary chapters of history, ensuring that the legacy of struggle, resilience, and unity became the enduring soul of Pakistan. From the bustling bazaars of Lahore, where centuries-old architecture whispers stories of Mughal grandeur, to the narrow lanes of Karachi, alive with honking rickshaws and the scents of sizzling street food, and further north to the serene, snow-capped valleys of Swat and Hunza, the cultural soul of Pakistan unfolds in layers of history, flavor, and communal life, a vibrant tapestry woven through centuries of conquest, migration, and resilience. Food is at the very heart of this identity, not merely as sustenance but as a living chronicle of the nation's journey, where every dish carries the memory of ancestors, the imprint of regional diversity, and the fusion of indigenous and foreign influences. The rich, fragrant biryanis of Sindh, layered with spices and slow-cooked meats, narrate tales of trade and conquest, while the spicy karahi of Punjab, sizzling in iron woks, celebrates communal gatherings and festive feasts, and the tender nihari, simmered overnight in clay pots, speaks of royal courts and centuries-old culinary traditions that have survived partition, migration, and modernization. Street food thrives as an essential social fabric, from the tangy gol gappas and chaat that animate crowded marketplaces to smoky tandoors sending aromatic breads and kebabs into the evening air, forming an invisible thread connecting every neighborhood, village, and city, while the evolution of fast food chains in urban centers blends local flavors with global trends, reflecting Pakistan's adaptive spirit and its embrace of modernity without surrendering tradition. But the country's vibrancy is not confined to its kitchens, it beats loudly in the arenas of sport, play, and recreation, where cricket transcends mere competition to become a national obsession, a force that unites citizens across linguistic, ethnic, and socio-economic divides, and where the crack of the bat and the roar of the crowd are infused with pride, hope, and collective identity. Hockey fields, kabaddi arenas, wrestling rings, and the playgrounds where children chased gilli danda, marbles, and other traditional games preserve the cultural heritage of movement, skill, and community, linking modern youth to generations past, teaching lessons of strategy, courage, and cooperation while fostering a sense of belonging that is uniquely Pakistani. Music and artistic expression form another thread in this intricate tapestry, from the devotional qawwali of Sufi saints that echo through centuries-old shrines to the contemporary rhythms of pop and fusion that resonate from Karachi rooftops to Islamabad cafes, offering both reflection and celebration, a sonic chronicle of a society negotiating its past, present, and future. Festivals, too, punctuate life with colors, sounds, and ritual. Eid celebrations overflow with family gatherings and culinary abundance, while cultural fairs such as Basant in Punjab once painted the skies with kites, and local Mela traditions across provinces preserve folklore, crafts, and storytelling, anchoring modern Pakistanis to centuries of tradition. Beyond the sensory pleasures of food and entertainment, the streets, neighborhoods, and homes are laboratories of resilience, where the effects of partition, political instability, and economic challenges have been transformed into ingenuity, hospitality, and community solidarity, where people cook over coal fires, share meals with neighbors, and celebrate life despite adversity, cultivating a collective identity rooted in both struggle and joy. Even Pakistan's diaspora carries this cultural essence abroad, from bustling London neighborhoods hosting Pakistani food festivals to North American cities alive with cricket clubs and traditional celebrations, demonstrating the global resonance of its cuisine, music, and games, and reinforcing the idea that culture is both a domestic lifeline and an international ambassador. In the north, valleys like Hunza and Skardu preserve indigenous foodways and mountain games, while in the deserts of Dhar, folk music, camel races, and age-old crafts narrate stories of survival and environmental adaptation, illustrating the immense regional diversity that forms the national mosaic. Through every biryani cooked, every cricket match played, every kabaddi game contested, and every qawwali sung, Pakistan's people articulate a narrative of survival, adaptation, and creativity, where history is alive in everyday actions and the nation's soul is expressed as much in daily life as in grand monuments or political speeches. The streets, kitchens, fields, and halls of Pakistan collectively tell a story that merges centuries of struggle with the enduring joy of cultural expression, portraying a nation that, despite wars, partitions, and socio-political challenges, celebrates life with an intensity that is uniquely its own. Its global influence, visible in the diaspora's culinary enterprises, the international popularity of its cricket stars, and the worldwide reach of its music and literature, affirms that Pakistan's identity is not constrained within borders but vibrantly alive, dynamic, and evolving. Thus, the cultural heartbeat of Pakistan, its food, its games, its music, its festivals, and its everyday resilience serves as both a testament to its storied past and a living promise for the future, reflecting a people who have endured, adapted, and thrived, creating a nation whose soul resonates in every bite, every cheer, every song, and every gesture of community, revealing that the essence of Pakistan is not merely political or geographic but profoundly human, lived, felt, and celebrated across generations and continents.